Hello, and welcome to another Steel Division Divisional overview. And today we're taking a look at the 3rd Guard Tank Corps. Soviet Armored Division, or Corps, with those scary IS-2s in it. With the fake frontal armor and big scary gun. Yeah, it's that Corps, nothing really too crazy going on. And, well, let's just jump right into it. It is a B-tier armored division, and you got a lot of tank slots. Surprise, surprise. Decent amount of infantry, support, artillery and airplanes, and not a lot in terms of recon, which is pretty par for the call for an armoured corps. And well, let's jump into the recon tab. It's nothing really too crazy going on here. You got motorbike recon, don't know if everyone use it. You got 2-man recon squads. In terms of interest in transport, you got BA-64s and some M3A1 Devkers for some armoured transport, which are always nice to have, because it pretty much gives you extra recon units in the same card. And apart from other transport cards, it's pretty samey stuff. You got Studebakers, M2s, Jeeps, pretty standard Soviet loadout here. You got motorized Radavkas, and then you got your awesome Radavkas with the bazookas. It's actually quite funny. You get 4 cards of Radavkas, but you only have 3 recon slots. So yeah. You got BA-10s, and then some Valentine Mark IIIs for your more up-armoured tank/armoured car recon units. Nothing really too crazy going on here, pretty standard Soviet loadout. You're mainly going to be using infantry more than anything, as you're just going to fill up the first 2 slots and call it a day. And in that sort of scenario, infantry is really the most effective way to use your recon slots. And well, speaking of infantry, there's nothing really all that infantry of the infantry tab of this corps. You got guard spam. You got 3 cards regular guards, 1 card of guard TPs. Nothing really too crazy. 2 cards of Saparis, which are really nice. Some Avtomachikis, your Sapari PPSHs, then Tanko Desanitki, and then all the fancy leader units that you get. There's nothing really all that interesting going on. You're mainly going to be doing guard spam more than anything, as you do have a rather limited amount of infantry slots, to be entirely honest. And well, you just want to get the most bang for your buck and spam those guards out to just cover the front line. Really, nothing really all that fancy going on. At least you get some Saparis. These are really more of your powerhouse infantry than anything, just due to your lovely loadout of having so many SVTs and satchel charges for anti-infantry operations. Also, the Avtos are pretty good as well for anti-infantry operations, but require a little bit more micro. Yeah, nothing really too crazy going on in the infantry tab. It's just guard spam. In terms of tanks, there's really 2 tanks that you have to worry about. Shermans and IS-2s. Shermans are great. They have fantastic infantry support. They got 50 cal. They got a lot of HE ammunition. Decent amount of machine guns of the Browning M1919 caliber. Or version, I should really say. And you got 6 cards of them, with 2 cards of leaders, and you get a rather hefty amount of Shermans if you so desire. And they have pretty good veterancy curves as well, which is pretty nice. It's not really a bad idea to take 1-star Shermans most of the time compared to no-star Shermans. Yeah, Shermans are good. They're not great against more heavily armoured Axis tanks. Heck, even Stug 3s they have a pretty hard time against. And Panzer IV Hs as well at long range, but at close range, you know, especially in 1v1s, going around corners and whatnot, you got stabilizers, of course, because, you know, American ingenuity. Shermans are pretty good in that role, and, you know, nice price. They're your medium tank of this division. They're really the backbone. And then you got the IS-2s. You got the IS-2 leader, which is a 1943 model. Pretty standard IS-2. And then you got the scary, the IS-2 1944 with the extra frontal armor. As you can tell, they just kind of added a little bit more here. This is the most powerful tank you can get for the Soviets, period. It has the most armor and the biggest bloody gun. This thing is an absolute juggernaut. It will sit there, it will pretty much take shots from everything. The only thing that can reliably kill it is Pak 43s. And that's it. Panthers and Tigers are going to have a hard time penetrating your rather thick frontal armor. Now, of course, the main problem with IS-2s, this is the problem with all the IS-2s, is that Well, you have not a lot of AP ammunition and a rather slow reload time. That's really it. Fortunately, you can usually just sit here and take the shots or just reverse a little bit and reload. But they're not bad tanks. They're really good tanks, actually, as they can just shut down an entire open field. Of course, you're going to have a hard time against our King Tigers. Currently, the only King Tigers are the King Tiger Porsches and 21st Panzer, so you're not really going to run into them most of the time, unless you're playing like a 4v4 and 3v3, because someone always takes 21st. Because someone just wants to take those King Tigers. But for the majority of the time, the IS-2s are going to be your absolute powerhouses. I always recommend taking them unvetted, as you really just need the numbers, and the veterancy curve really hurts you, as you only get 2 cards of these tanks, so they're not exactly super spammable. If anything, you really want to take the B phase and C phase cards to get the most bang for your buck. IS-2s are IS-2s. They're big bloody killers. In support, nothing really too crazy going on here. You get flamethrower teams, you get Maxims, you got your better Soviet machine guns, you got an infantry support gun, the good one that has heat shells, which is nice, Studebakers, and then a variety of command units. Yeah, anti-tank is also really lackluster. PTRS teams, Panzerschrecks, a few 45 mils, a few 76 mils, and one card of Su-85s if you feel like you need a little bit of extra anti-tank firepower. You got a pretty good anti-tank slot overall. It does get a little bit more expensive towards the end here, as these 3-point slots kind of can be a bit hard to justify. But you can usually, get enough 45 mils and 8 phase, maybe a card as this freeze, just to give you some sort of hidden AT capability and cheap, anti-tank defense. Anti-air is pretty awesome with this division. You got your Maxim 4Ms, you got your standard 37 mils, and then you got some lovely Lend-Lease M15s, the real true powerhouse of, well, I was going to say Soviet-American anti-air. These things just shut down entire areas and they can shoot down planes by themselves. They're bloody great, and they're armoured and they're mobile. They're really nice to have. And also you got a crap ton of these 85 mils. I don't know if I'd ever take 4 cards of them. You can use these as an anti-tank weapon, of course. They're not really that great as an anti-tank weapon, I find, personally. But if you just want a larger, more heavier AAPs, these are pretty good. I haven't really, personally, with these and 88 mils from the German side, I hadn't had too much success utilizing these effectively. I find it much better to use mid-caliber AA, especially in 1v1s, as they're just much more universally useful, I find, in terms of suppression, damage, area coverage. Yeah, but they're not bad, once again. These are definitely good to help augment your anti-aircraft line, but they're not great just by themselves. You really do need to use these 2 units to, shut up the bulk of your anti-aircraft defense. Artillery. It's nothing interesting. There's really nothing interesting going on here. You got standard artillerists and artillery leaders. And then, you got your F-22s, you got your 82 and 120mm mortars, you got some mortar bikes, which is cool, and then your standard Su-76 artillery loadout. Really, really standard stuff here. Nothing extremely high caliber or crazy. Just standard Soviet artillery. Yeah. And airplanes. Nothing really too crazy going on here. You got PE-2 recon plane. You got a PE-2 ground attack plane. This is terrible. I don't know where I'd ever take it. As in terms of ground attack front facing machine guns, you got one 50 cal with 160 shots, and one 7.62 machine gun with 450 shots. That's your ground attack armament, yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very scary stuff. Apart from that, you just got turrets in the back. You actually have pretty good defensive armament, with like 4 rear-facing machine guns. Well, 2 of them are facing off the side to be more accurate. It's a pretty decent survivable plane, but it's a terrible ground attack plane. It's much better if it actually had bombs underneath it. So yeah, just don't use this at all. It's completely pants. You got a few IL-2Ms with a pretty decent bomb loadout of 4 100 kilograms, and also it's a much better ground attack plane if you need it, because it actually has bloody autocannons, which is cool. IL-2s are great. They're pretty much the Soviet Stuka, in a sense, but they're very resilient. I've seen these guys just take poundings from flat guns, 37mm flat guns, and just get out of here. They're smoking, of course, and took a lot of damage, but they will get out. He's a very good plane to use in A-phase, I find, as usually the Germans don't have that crazy anti-aircraft net or fighter net set up, so you can get them in, bomb stuff, and then get out to dodge. Your main fighters are going to be X-7Bs. They're pretty standard, nothing really too crazy going on here. Good speed, great agility, really good turn dogfighters, and for a rather decent price as well. They're nice to have, and you got a decent amount of them, and you get a rather generous amount of them as well. IL-2, well, napalm planes in general for the most part, especially Soviet and like Eastern Front German runs are really pants. The napalm bombs just really don't do any damage. I think they do a decent initial HE damage, but yeah, the napalm effect on the ground really doesn't do anything. It just like slightly warms up the enemy like a hot July day. You can really just avoid using napalm bombers, and you get such terrible availability on them as well. They're just not worth it in the slightest. In terms of well, rocket planes, you got two options. You got the lighter Yak-7B with 82mm rockets, 6 of them, or the PE-2 with 1,032 mils. Both of these are pretty good for different reasons. The Yak-7B is much better for more softer targets, such as AT guns and etc., as you do get a decent amount of them, 4 of them for 110 points in B phase we're looking at here. They're good in that regard, and they still act as a pretty decent fighter plane, not as fast or as agile compared to your fighter brethren, but still a pretty decent fighter plane while also being a rocket plane. And the PE-2 is much more useful for heavier targets such as Panthers and Tigers and bunkers, gun emplacements, you know, that really annoying Pack 43 that's trying to kill our IS-2s. This is more for, yeah, you do get half the availability compared to the X-7B, but much higher, high explosive loadout, and it's a little bit slower but more resilient. Both of these are pretty good choices, just depending in what you're wanting to seek. And then finally, you got a PE-2 with a bunch of 250kg bombs on the back. This is your heavier bomber. It's nothing really all that crazy. With heavy bombers, I prefer to just have, you know, one 1,000kg bomb compared to 4 250s. I just find it to be a little bit more useful. Nothing really too crazy here. I think you can really pass up on this plane. I just never really had that much success with this sort of plane. And defense, it's an armor division. You really don't get much. You got your barbed wire, you got your gun pits, you got your trenches, and then you got your bunker maxims. Yeah. So really, in terms of loadout, there's nothing really all that crazy here. A lot of the Soviet divisions, of course, really just utilize the same sort of units. The really only crazy thing going on here are the heavily armored IS-2s. So, with out of the way, let's take a look at a deck that I built earlier. And we are back, and once again, the deck code is in the description below. And yeah, this is the deck that I have built earlier, Blue Peter style. This deck is much more suited towards team games, like 2v2, 3v3, 4v4s. In the replay we're going to see, that deck is much more suited for 1v1s, and you'll see why a little bit later on. So let's just jump right into it. So for recon, pretty standard. I'm mainly taking dozers, and the A phase runs I bring up BA-64s, and the B phase runs I bring up in M3 and Devkas. I like doing this personally, as you get double the recon units in one card, as you got these transport vehicles that you can also use as dedicated recon. Some people don't like using dozers, or two-man recon squads in general, because they're very weak, they die very quickly. But that is a risk that I'm willing to take, because I just like the cheaper. I usually am pretty smart and try to keep them out of dodge. I mean, you can also take the M3A1 Redevkas with the motorized Redevkas if you feel like you just want a little bit of extra firepower. The regular Redevkas don't get any armed transport, unfortunately. But yeah, it works for me. I like his loadout quite a lot, especially considering you have such lackluster recon slots. Infantry, I said before, it's guard spam. Just guard spam in here. In A phase, I take separate PPSHs. You'll see right in a little bit. But yeah, we've got A phase regular guard and A phase Sappery for more CQC. B phase Sappery and guard TP. And then C phase the lovely 27 card, no vetted guard. It's just guard spam. So the reason I'm taking Sapri PPSHs, even though the Sapri PPSHs have been nerfed, I mean, they no longer have the satchel charges, it's still not terrible. For 10 points, having a Panzerfaust that comes in the fastest transport vehicle, or one of the fastest transport vehicles in game, it's extremely effective. And you're going to see in the support slot, I take SG-43s, which also come in Jeeps. And in the anti-tank slot, I take PTRSs, which also come in Jeeps. So the whole idea is that we don't have great infantry fighting power. It's really just using guard spam to draw fire so our tanks and artillery can kill the scary German infantry of STGs on the other side of the field. And so we want to get into the town first. So we use the Sapri PPSHs, we use the PTRSs and the SG-43s to rush in, get a good position, use the SG-43s, try to put them in a church tower to cover the area and shoot at incoming Opel Blitzers as they rush in. Your PTRS squad is to snipe, transport vehicles or lightly armoured recon units or half-tracks at Russian, and the Sapri PPSHs, just to hold the ground a bit, and also if they bring up a tank and you can micro it close, they can blow up the tank with the Panzerfaust. I like doing this strategy a lot, especially in 1v1s, but heck, even in team games, initial engagement over the town can be a pain in the arse, and this gives you a very good shot of getting into the town first, delaying the enemy long enough so you can bring up your Shermans and guards and Saparis to really bring in the firepower, contain the town, and then hopefully you can just set up a no man's land between the town and the enemy and just stop him from even getting inside and fighting CQC. Because you don't have a lot of great CQC units. You do have Saparis, which are great, but, even these guys are better at long range because they got those lovely SVT-40s. But yeah, that's just my personal preference. I like doing that A-phase rush, Jeep spam. Or Jeep, that's not really spam, just rush in general. And especially with a deck like this, which doesn't have great infantry loadout, which is good to get that initial engagement in your favour. Tank tab, A-phase. I take 2 cards of 2-star Shermans. I really like taking 2-star Shermans in A-phase, as compared to the 1-star, you only lose 1 Sherman. And an extra veterancy makes quite a big difference, I find, in terms. I was going to show you here, but it's not working, unfortunately, in terms of the accuracy and all the bonuses. But nonetheless, it helps out quite a bit. Those 2-star Shermans can be pretty scary at close range, especially in town fights against Panzer IVs and Stugs, as you just get the first shot, just like Clint Eastwood in a Western movie. You just do the fast draw and blow up anything that gets you nearby. And then 1 A-phase IS-2 leader for that extra heavy long-range firepower, usually just to hold the more open flank of the map and just shut it down. We don't really use it offensively, it's just here to help defend. B-phase, we take 1 regular card of Shermans with 1-star veterancy, and then 1 B-phase leader card. We don't take any infantry leaders, as we note, so this is pretty nice to have, as we're pretty lackluster in terms of leaders, as you can tell. And then a B-phase card of unvetted IS-2s, and then C-phase, 1-star vetted Sherman card, and then C-phase card of 4 IS-2s. Well, like I said before, we got the machine guns, SG-43s, but we also got the infantry support guns. These are pretty nice to have, help, hold long-range areas on a budget. These are really nice guns, and also they can deal with, light armoured vehicles with their heat shells. The regular truckload out of A-phase, B-phase Studebakers, and then a B-phase command combat, because it's much better than just having a bike. Because this thing can actually survive if it gets shot at. Which hopefully it doesn't get shot at, but, you never know in war. Anti-tank, PTRS squad, as I showed before. I like using them a lot for that. G-Press, like I explained. A-phase, simple 45mm, and then B-phase unvetted is just for a little bit of extra hidden AT firepower. Not taking any SU-85s, I don't really feel like I need it in this division, as if I need to blow up a tank, I just get an IS-2. They're not bad to have, as it's more of a mid-range option between the Sherman and the IS-2. If you just want something a bit more, you don't want to spend the extra money on getting, big bloody IS-2, but it just doesn't really fit into the general loadout of how this how his specific deck works, essentially. Anti-air, pretty simple stuff. We're taking 37 mils with just good truck transports, because why not have an extra 50 cal for 10 points? Yeah. And then B phase and C phase cards of M15, which is more than enough to pretty much keep those annoying Fokker-Wolves at fucking bay. Artillery, A phase motorbike recon, or recon? Motorbike artillery. I mean, you could recon with them if you want. Probably not going to go well for you. But these are lovely to have as a mobile. Usually just enough firepower to get through A phase. They're nice and cheap. They're not bad. And then B phase, we're taking artillery leaders. These are only infantry leaders that we have. But it's going to combo very well with our Su-76s, because these guys can take advantage of the radio coverage of these chaps and provide, well, you know, directed shot bonuses, which is nice, as that's usually not a thing that you experience with a lot of Soviet divisions, as all your artillery is really bloody inaccurate. And also, I take these guys from 50 cals, half tracks. It's personal preference. I like the extra firepower that they bring in. Yes, it does double the price of the unit in total, but I find it useful. And if you do keep them alive, you can actually relocate them to, you know, another area to give them better corrected shot bonuses, to move them up, to move them to the flanks, to, you know, get better corrected shot and coverage. Also, do you want to note the infantry over here, they're all taking the Studebakers, I forgot to mention, just because, well, we want speed more than anything. I mean, you can take the M2 transports if you want, for maybe some of your units, if you feel like you need the extra armor, but I just want speed. I just want speed. Even though the Studebakers aren't that much faster, I just prefer them, personally. Just extra 5 kilometers does help out a little bit. And in terms of air power, nothing too crazy. A-phase IL-2s is really going to be most effective due to the lack of German air cover. And an A-phase fighter, Yak-7B, and B-phase fighter, Yak-7B. And in terms of defense, yeah, barbed wire trenches, and then 2 bunker maximum cards. So really, nothing all that crazy in this division, in this deck loadout. It's very much more settled toward team games. I also forgot to mention this is balanced income. You could also do Juggernaut if you want, but I find balanced work pretty fine. I mean, nice thing is in C phase you got just enough point to buy an IS-2 every minute, and I find that to be more than enough. So, overall the pros of this division. The main one is the Sherman / IS-2 combo. It's extremely potent. Shermans are great at close range, IS-2s are great at long range and close range, and any range really. The IS-2s are just really bloody scary. They're really the main feature of this entire division, as everything else is pretty meh and mediocre, but the IS-2s just, you know, especially in SE2, where a lot of open ground engagement, tank play is very important. Having the biggest, hardest hitting tanks is really nice to have. It's pretty satisfying, and they're pretty easy to use as well. Heavy tanks in general are pretty noob friendly. I'm not saying that as a derogatory term, like, oh my god, only noobs use heavy tanks, but you don't have to micro them as much compared to medium and light tanks, worry about getting side shots. You just stick them in an area, and you just don't rush them out by themselves, and they usually survive and don't get killed. Also, you have great anti-air control, or supremacy, whatever. You got the American M15s, you got 37mm, and you got decent fighters, and that's going to be very important, because those IS-2s can only really be killed by Pak-43s in the ground game. And if your opponent doesn't have Pak-43s, they're going to go, well, time to bring out the cluster bombers. And being able to stop those cluster bombers with good old American Lend-Lease anti-air firepower is definitely rather nice. It's really the major threat to the IS-2s is going to be what's coming from above, not coming from directly in front of it. In terms of the cons of this division, it's really just everything else in the division's pretty meh. There's nothing terrible about this division in terms of all the other, you know, slots and other parts, but everything else is just, yeah, it's just standard Soviet stuff. The infantry is guard spam, nothing great, nothing terrible. Support's pretty standard, anti-tank's pretty standard, the artillery is pretty standard, the ground attack planes are pretty standard. It's not great, it's not terrible. It's just, yeah, to help out. Really, its entire division focuses around the Shermans and the IS-2s. That's all this division really is about. if you can't take good advantage of both of those tanks, you're probably going to have a bad time, because that's really your major firepower, your major staying point in playing this division. I keep saying division, it's really a core, doesn't really matter. Let's see how this core plays in a 1v1. And we are back on Sluch East, and representing the 3rd Guard Tank Corps, we have Gonzo with a Maverick income. And up north we have Divisional playing 78 Sturm with a Vanguard income. I said before, yet in the replay, this will be a much more 1v1 oriented deck for 3rd Guard. And well, I didn't lie to you this time. And as you can see, it is very A-phase, B-phase heavy. There's not a single C-phase unit in this division. Gonzo's going to run early, or he is going to go home. But nothing really too crazy in terms of differences. Taking Redevkas instead of Doziers doesn't mean he has recon vehicle transports, but he does have extra infantry fighting firepower. Pretty similar in terms of infantry, mainly just the guard spam like I mentioned before, but more B-phase orientated. Same thing with tanks, a bit more A-phase, B-phase orientated, a lot of Shermans in B-phase, and a lot of IS-2s in B-phase. And support pretty standard, and the tank's pretty standard, quite a bit of anti-air. Actually taking an A-phase 85mm and an A-phase ZSU, so getting a heavy A-phase AA up, and also heavy A-phase airplane options with the heavy bomber, 2 cards of Yak 7Bs, and then B-phase taking the heavy rocket plane and a card of Yak 7s. So as you can tell, it's a much more focused 1v1 loadout. You're really going to have to win in like the first 20-30 minutes, or you're not going to have a good time. But if you're going to do a 1v1, a early aggressive push deck with 3rd Guard Tank Corps, I would recommend doing Maverick over Vanguard, due to the fact that, well, Vanguard you only get 150 points at your highest, while with Maverick you get 180, and with that 180 you can buy one IS-2 44 and have 10 points left over to buy a Snappery PPS-8 squad if you so desire. So it's a pretty good map for Gonzo, as this left-hand side here is complete open ground, and our IS-2s are going to dominate, if I can say it properly. The right side is not going to be that good, because 78th Sturm has the scariest and most powerful infantry out of all the infantry divisions in game. Even with the STG-44 nerf, they now do 40% accuracy compared to 50% accuracy. They're still really scary, especially against a bunch of unvetted guard squads. So it's really going to be more focused on using those Shermans effectively for infantry fire support with their 50 cals and 75 mils. Now, yes, 78th Sturm does have Pack 43s and Nashorns, which is pretty scary. But not that scary, to be entirely honest. The thing is, if the Nashorn misses its first shot, it's pretty much dead. Even if the IS-2 shoots back and misses, the Nashorn will usually take such heavy morale damage from the big alpha gun of the D25T that the IS-2 has. Yeah, it's not going to make an effective second shot. And even with Pack 43s, they are the more scary thing to worry about, but on the left-hand side here, there's not many areas for them to hide in, so it's going to be pretty nice. As you see, Gonzo already deploys his IS-2 immediately on the left-hand side early on, and with the Sherman supporting him, and just some infantry being thrown in over here, he's going to have a pretty good time. Right-hand side, so yeah, Begleet Pioneers and Grenadiers versus a bunch of, unvetted Russian infantry. He's not going to have a good time. He doesn't have any tank fire support nearby, so he's really not going to have a good time. Same thing over here as well. He is bringing up a Sherman, and he does have an infantry support gun nearby. And Divisional already has a Pack 40 out. It's going to be pretty scary against a Sherman, but if the IS-2 comes close, he can pretty easily knock it out. But the Sherman and IS-2 are out of its range for now. But the Sherman is in range to help with the Sapperies dealing with these Shuchen and Begleet Grenadiers. And Gonzo is going to be moving up his lone IS-2 to help out over here. And Divisional is already seeing the IS-2, and he's going to be buying a Nashorn to try and deal with it. Like I said before, the Nashorn really has to get a good hit, a good first hit, or it's pretty much dead. And the way he's going to deploy, he's going to try to get into the forest here, which is probably a little bit too close. You probably want to maybe deploy it back here and sneak it through here, or bring it over here and just wait for the IS-2 to get a bit closer. But as you can see, the main thing over here for Gonzo is that he's just trying to play it on this left-hand side. Got the Sappery over here, capping its open ground, easy peasy. And if you take a look on the right side, I mean, he's holding. Yeah, that's all you're really going to do. You're not going to push 78th Sturm out of a town unless you got a bunch of artillery. And you don't. Especially with Gonzo's deck, he only got the motorbikes and A-phase, what's it called? 120mm mortars? Yeah, 120 mils. So nothing really all that crazy in terms of heavy artillery firepower. It's enough to get you by, you know, against infantry and other soft targets. And the Sherman, I believe, is in range now of the Pack... Oh, no, it's... I think the Pack 40 can't see him. Yeah, you can't, so... Or maybe you can. It's just the line of sight tool is slightly lying to me. The Pack 40 is having a little bit of a hard time. You see IS-2 here, he's engaged on Nashorn, and that Nashorn, yeah, the thing of Nashorn, if you are using it, once you're in a situation like this, you get out, and that's exactly what the Gartner is gonna do. Like, you should never have the Nashorn out in the open. I mean, he got caught with his pants down there a little bit by moving him up a little bit too far, a little bit too ballsy. But you always keep your Nashorns in medium cover. That's your 78th Sturm tip here. For third guard tank core here, Gonzo's just playing it right. He's pushing left. I mean, the Gartner's infantry is scary, but when up against an IS-2, that kind of makes him a little less scary. And Sherman's as well. His infantry is just getting completely turned uphill by the Germans. But he has many more that he can just bring in. And he's got like 3 support guns over here crying out in his forest. You see, right hand side, he is slowly getting pushed out. He just does not have the firepower to deal with it. The Stugs here, he does have 1 star of infantry boosted up to 2 here. And along the road, where it's a nice clear shot, where having a turret doesn't really matter, that's just going to deal with the Shermans at long range easy peasy. When you're seeing that heavy bomber IS-2, or what, PE-2 being brought in, as you see, it does pretty decent damage, showing up 2 of the infantry squads. Nothing really all that crazy. And I want to say he's going to get out, but we're going to see. No, he doesn't. No, he does not. A little bit too slow. The main thing on the right hand side, early on especially, is going to be using these Shermans to just try to keep the Germans at bay. Oh, the Stugs are going to be... That's really his major threat here, is the Stugs just going to keep pounding the Sherman array at long range. There's nothing you can really do about it. Left hand side, Gonzo is still slowly pushing, moving up some guards over here. I don't believe the Gartner has any A-phase Pack 43 static guns. He does have Nashorns, of course. The Nashorns, I mean, he's got 2 Nashorns here, and 2 Nashorns in the open is better than having 1 Nashorn in the open. Gives you double the chance to get that kill and hit. He's going to try and chase down and kill the Emscher, or the Sherman, however you want to call it. As you see, Gonzo, he's playing it smart. He probably doesn't want to engage 2 Nashorns, so he's just going to pull back a bit. He still has good map control on the left-hand side. His other infantry in the advantageous positions. And honestly, those Nashorns can't really push. They can push maybe up to here, but they're not going to push in the open. They're just going to get killed. And as you can see, the Sherman over here, even just a measly little Sherman, he gets that first shot on Nashorn, gun jammed. And then the second one is pretty much left alone. This is the thing, even just Shermans at long range against Nashorns, it's scary to be a Nashorn. Gonzo's just going to counter push now. Or Pack 40 and Stug, they're not really going to do anything against the IS-2. The IS-2 is the god of the left-hand side here. But the Begley, or the German infantry in general, is the god of the right-hand side, completely capping his town. Unless Gonzo brings in a bunch of artillery, he's probably not going to take his back. Just pushing into Oyo's SCGs and G43s and MG42s is terrifying. It's a terrifying fort, especially if only guards. Even Avtos have a pretty hard time. Geez, I find even at 100 meters. We've got Saparis being brought in here. They do have their satchel chargers, which are pretty effective. With all bunched up infantry, he might actually have enough to push back the Gartner's force. As they try to make, they're going to be pulling back from the forest now as the Shermans chase them away. Yeah, it's really going to come down to the Shermans when it comes to dealing with the infantry on the right-hand side. He's bringing some more Saparis, but the Gartner has his infantry pretty well set up here, so it won't get hit by the Shermans. Saparis going to be able to throw the charges off. And they're going to die, but at least they got like one grenade off, I think. But yeah, honestly, going pretty well for Gonzo. He has actually managed to bleed the Gartner just a little bit, thanks to his left-hand push early on. Here he has got pushed back a little bit due to that Shuchen moving up and challenging the Sapari squad, who is guarding that road area. But they are going to hit the B phase, and that's going to be perfect for Gonzo, as he has the income advantage in, and he can bring in 4 bloody IS-2s, and it's really going to come down to his IS-2s to just show in the area, and, you know, kill everything that they come up against. And he's bringing some Redevkas, bringing the Avtomachiki and the guard DPs that he has. Yeah. Pretty standard stuff here. And the guard over here should be able to help deal with his squad. Shooting is actually out in the open. Sapari is just behind the building. If he gets in close enough, he should be able to kill it, but yeah, the rest of the guard squad up, didn't see the Suchin, and he does pay, well, with losing a squad. But the IS-2 sees the Suchin, he doesn't mess around, as you can see. The 50 cal Saparis move up and finish them off with a surrender, and that's going to get the flag back and bring Gonzo up. Yeah, Gonzo's now setting up the anti-aircraft net. He's got the 1 M15 out, which is honestly more than enough to pretty much keep his entire flank free from German air power. All you really need is this one more M15 over here, and you're pretty much good to go in terms of anti-aircraft net. That's how good these bloody M15s are. It's a very ballsy move up with a 45mm. He is going to lose it. Got a heavy mortar firing on the support guns, and that's pretty much going to knock him out. And a little bit of a flank here with some Redevkas and Avtomachikis. Very cheeky push here. And now Sean Nigel. I don't know where he's actually shooting at. It's at a very good spot for him to be in. And it's a very scary spot for the IS-2 to deal with. Because the thing is, he can just move up into his forest, shoot down here, get 1 or 2 shots, and then reverse clearly up back onto the top of the hill where he can't be seen. And that's how you use an Ashorn. You see an Ashorn over here now out in the open, just gets destroyed. As you can see, his IS-2s, or his IS-2, the single IS-2 over here, there's another IS-2 over here, just completely zoning his left-hand flank. The Stugs can't move up, infantry can't move up. Nothing is going to get close to that big bloody tank. Right-hand side, the IS-2 is definitely going to help out. I mean, we did kill the Stug here, thanks to the Sherman. But the problem is, he needs to get infantry in here. And the problem is that his infantry pretty well dug in. They're not really going to be exposing themselves too much to the majority of the tanks. You really do need artillery to help pound the area and then rush into the Saparis and Avtos to clear things up. It's National Nigel. It's only doing infantry fire support, but still a pretty good spot for him to be in. Fortunately, infantry can't fire back at a kilometer away. It's just a slow grind and right-hand side, and a slow push on the left. It's kind of hard to push any further a bit on the left. It's a pretty good defensive area. As we can see, it's not really much here. It's like a single Stug and 3 infantry squads. If he gets like another IS-2 and just like 3 or 4 guard squad and just move across the open, he could probably easily push it. But, you know, he doesn't really have the recon you don't really have to know about. So there could be a million things in here, you never know. This is usually a pretty popular defensive spot to hold on to. And yeah, it's just building up the IS-2 force. He's got another IS-2 into the middle here, so that's bringing him up to 3 out of a potential 5 IS-2s that he can bring in. And really, with Third Guard Tank Corps, if you keep the IS-2s alive, it's really the only thing you got going for you, honestly. If you keep them alive, they will pay off, and they're going to be your main force in pushing. Fortunately, the Gartner doesn't really have any cluster Stukers. I believe you do get cluster Stukers with 78th. As that's really going to be the major threat for these IS-2s. The best way to kill them. I haven't even seen any static Pak-43s, which would definitely be a better choice on a national one and knocking these out. It's mainly just using the Pak-40s. The closer ranges here, the national ones just get killed. Well, a Pak-43 can hide in the forest and get an ambush shot onto said IS-2 and blow it up. And left hand side is slowly pushing now. He's killed a Stug, and he's realised, hey, some shoots and moved out. Maybe I can counter push. Using the infantry support gun, and he is bringing up some reinforcements over here. He's mainly trying to push into this crossroads area over here. A little bit more harder to push due to the hill overlooking you, as well as a bit more cover the enemy can take advantage of. But it's just a slow push. Nothing too crazy going on. And over here, yeah, he's just got Shermans and the M15s, as you can see, just absolutely devastating. As he manages to shoot down one of the planes. Shoots down both of them. This is what I mean, guys. Ugh, thank God for Lend-Lease. You see, the tanks over here have no infantry fire support. They are just getting pounded as they have no eyes on this Stug. Which is just doing not really, well, it's killed a Sherman essentially. But the IS-2s has taken a lot of critical hits. A bit of a misplay here, not having the infantry nearby. I was finally remedying that with some guard TPs. Not going to be great in terms of clearing the infantry, but just for holding his, help guard the tanks. That's to be good enough. Heavy rocket PU-2 coming in, and he's going to go for the Pak-40. And yeah, it doesn't mess around when it hits stuff. The AK-7B will probably not completely kill AT gun in that regard. His thing will just kill anything. Well, anything like static and not like controlled man squad. Doug gets knocked out, yeah, but 45. Yeah, Gonzo not, taking a huge amount of territory here. But he does have momentum. He's pretty much covered most of the national ones. He's slowly taking back the right-hand side just due to the amount of infantry that he has. And he's slowly pushing on the left here, and there's really nothing on the left that can stop him. We do see a Pak-43 finally being brought in, but this is the problem. The Gartner's moving it up to here, which is a terrible spot. If he moved it over here, well, really over here, that'd be the best spot for him to put it, and that would be extremely scary for the IS-2s to deal with. But out in the open, it's just going to get spotted. IS-2's going to shoot runs, and he's going to be completely panicked and be completely useless. He's got the IS-2, another IS-2 over here, so that's 4 IS-2s now. 5, he's got all of them out. As you see, he's having a very hard time in the infantry department here. He really should maybe have some mortars or whatnot to help him out in that area. And same thing over here, is pushing a little bit, but it's pretty bloody. It's pretty bloody, and especially with his deck loadout, he doesn't really have the attritional warfare. He has the Sherman over here, I believe. Sherman doesn't have eyes on, so he's shooting. The guard TP is getting hit by the Pak-43, so that's going to alert Gonzo of the presence of an AT gun. And rightfully so, he's going to back out the 44 for now. I mean, he could risk it and shoot it in the open. Honestly, you have a pretty good chance of winning, but you never know. And especially where the IS-2s are so valuable, especially with this deck where you only have 5 of them, you do not want to lose a single run. And if you're smart, it's pretty easy not to lose them. Just don't get cocky. And that's exactly what Gonzo's doing. He's not getting cocky. But yeah, as you can see, this is how you play Third Guard Tank Corps. And the Gartner's going to tap out, rightfully so. he pretty much lost all momentum after that A phase. But yeah, as you've seen, kills have a big kill advantage, 800 difference, and as you see, most of the damage here is being done by Shermans. And the IS-2s actually didn't kill that much, it's really more Shermans, but the IS-2s were here to screen. As you saw on the left-hand side, the Gardner just couldn't push because about one single IS-2 was just completely unkillable. There's nothing he could do about it. He charged National, they got killed, he couldn't get a Pack 43 in a decent position, he didn't really have any air power to really deal with it. Yeah, it's a very simple deck to play. Just as long as you keep those big fat Stalinist tanks alive and just screen open areas, you just use all your other mediocre guard DPs and Shermans and all that other stuff to push up and do the damage. Shermans aren't mediocre. Shermans are pretty good. As you see, they work rather well in close range. But as you clearly saw, you have a very hard time in infantry fights with this division, just because guards, they're great for spamming, but the terrible natural stand-up fight. Again, especially against the most powerful infantry division in game with all those STGs. You really want to be using mortars and artillery and air power more to try to deal with those towns rather than just throwing in all your guys. But yeah, as you saw, Gonzo played it pretty safe, pretty slow. I mean, you wait till B phase of that deck and get all the IS-2s out in B phase, and then just use them to screen and kill everything and just make sure they don't get killed by, well, mainly air power. Yeah, that's 5-guard tank cool. Nothing really too crazy, but the IS-2s are cool. Yeah, that's all I have to say. This has been another Steel Division Divisional overview. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as usual, please just take it easy.